On a frozen morning in 1939, the sky over Finland turned black, not because the sun disappeared, but because a giant empire arrived to swallow a small nation whole. What happened next shocked the world, and still teaches us one of the most painful lessons in human history. On November 30th, 1939, the Soviet Union launched a sudden invasion of Finland, beginning what the world now calls the Winter War. It was supposed to be a quick victory, the largest army on Earth moving against one of the smallest. The Soviets had thousands of tanks, aircraft, and millions of soldiers. Finland had only a fraction of that power. The world believed the fight would last a week at most, but history had a different plan, a plan that exposed the limits of power, the strength of unity, and the truth that courage can outlive fire and iron. To understand why this war began, you must look deeper than the snow and deeper than the battlefield. Europe was already trembling under the shadow of World War II. Hitler was expanding across the continent, and Stalin feared that Finland could become a pathway for a German invasion into the Soviet Union's north. The Soviet leadership demanded that Finland hand over territory in exchange for protection, but Finland refused, not out of arrogance, but out of the belief that giving away their land meant giving away their freedom. So on this day, without a formal declaration, Soviet artillery opened fire across the border. Towns shook. Civilians fled into the forests. Finland suddenly found itself face to face with the most powerful military force in the world. But instead of surrendering, Finland dug in. Their soldiers, many volunteers, wore simple wool clothing and carried old rifles. Yet they had something far stronger: the determination to defend their homeland at any cost. As the fighting intensified, a strange miracle began to unfold. The freezing winter, which the Soviets thought would help them, turned against them. Soviet tanks froze, engines failed, soldiers from warm regions found themselves collapsing in temperatures that reached as low as 40 C. Meanwhile, the Finns moved like ghosts through the forests in pure white camouflage. They knew every tree, every river, every shadow. They attacked at night, disappeared before sunrise, and struck again from impossible angles. Some battles became legendary. Small groups of Finnish fighters defeated entire Soviet battalions, not because they were stronger, but because they understood their land, their weather, and their purpose. The world watched in disbelief. Headlines around the globe called Finland's resistance a miracle of courage and a nation fighting for its soul. But this was not only a story of bravery, it was also a story of suffering. Entire villages burned. Families froze in the dark. Both Finnish and Soviet soldiers died in the thousands. The war was brutal, unforgiving, and heartbreaking. After 105 days of relentless fighting, Finland could no longer continue. They signed a peace treaty and surrendered more than 10% of their territory. It was a painful loss, but it was also a victory, because Finland survived. Finland remained independent. Finland proved that even a small nation can stand in front of a giant and not disappear. And that is the lesson the world never forgot. The Winter War changed global history. It exposed the weaknesses of the Soviet military, influencing Hitler's decision to later invade the Soviet Union, a decision that dramatically reshaped World War II. It also taught nations that unity, knowledge of the land, and national spirit can be stronger than any military machine. And today, the Winter War reminds us that freedom is never small, even when the people fighting for it are. What happened in 1939 still echoes today because it shows us how far humans will go when defending their home. History is not old, history is living inside us. One day, one event, one lesson. Mr. Fidi.